What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Crossroads adventure where today I'm giving you guys the 1-year review of the 2020 Mako Pro Skiff 17. In this video, we're going to be going over what has changed between the 2020, which is what I have, and the new 2021, what I love about this boat and the things I don't, and the age-old question, would I still buy the Mako again 1 year later? Let's check it out. So guys, for this video, I just went through on the last 3 review videos I did, which was the 1 month, the 3 month, and the on-water review. And I checked out your comments and your questions, and that's what I'm going to be using to do the 1-year review to make sure I'm answering everything that you guys want to know about this boat. And hands down, the #1 question that I've been asked is about the transducer on the fish finder and where that is located on the boat. Now, I did have this professionally installed, and it is right here on this V on the right-hand side. Now, I will tell you guys, I am not crazy impressed with how this performs while the boat is in motion. If I am underway with any kind of speed whatsoever, this 100% does not read depth. Now, I'm not sure if that's the fish finder. I have a Humminbird Helix 5, or if it is something to do with where the transducer is mounted. That is something I'm going to ask them when I take the boat in here in a couple weeks for the 100-hour service. And next up is going to be the engine that's on the Mako Pro Skiff 17. It is a 75 horsepower Mercury engine. Several people have asked that. I do know that you can get the 2020 model with a 60 horsepower and a 75. And if I'm not mistaken, the new 2021 models, you can even bump that up to a 115 on the 17-foot boat. Maybe something you're interested in. I will tell you the 75 horsepower engine has given me everything I needed over this past year. It handles chop really well. It gets me about 35 to 40 miles an hour on water anytime I'm by myself. If I have a little more gear on there or a few more people, it does slow it down just a little bit. And I've had a couple people ask about the rinse out system. This engine does have just a standard Mercury rinse out with the water hose. You can plug it right into that to rinse it out. I do use salt away in mine every time I rinse it out, just to keep that engine from getting any kind of salt corrosion. And of course, you can always use the Mickey Mouse ears on it just like you do any other engine. One of the first aftermarket things that I put on the Mako Pro Skiff 17 was the Minn Kota Power Drive trolling motor. I've had a lot of questions about what thrust this has. It is a 70-pound thrust. It does take 2 12-volt batteries, and I also have the onboard charger. I believe it's called a dual guest charger, where all I have to do when I get back to the house at night, prop the lid open, plug it into the outlet, and it's ready to go for the next day whenever I'm ready to be out fishing. Every time someone comes out on the boat with me, I get more comments about this little doodad right here than anything else I've added to the boat. And this is simply a Yak Attack gear track made for a kayak that I attach to the boat. I can put cup holders on it. I have a rod holder that I put on here. And basically any attachment that you can put onto the gear track of a kayak, you can now put on the boat and it'll hold there with no issues whatsoever. Since I did buy a new kayak, I did take the rod holder off and I've got it on the new kayak right now, but it's super simple just to pop that thing on and off. But this gear track is great for utility items that you may want to add to your boat that you don't want to have there all the time. Another item that I did add to the Mako was this Scotty rod holder. I wanted something that I could put on the back of the boat to actually troll rods. Now, the biggest mistake I made right here, as you can see, is I did not use stainless steel bolts. I thought I purchased stainless steel bolts, but obviously I did not, as you can tell from the rust stain. So I'm gonna have to figure out something to get the rust stains off the boat. I'm still considering actually drilling holes through this back deck and putting inset rod holders in here. I like this one, but I really think I would like them to be flush with the deck just so they're not so much of a trip hazard or rope hazard or things like that when we're working. And the final thing that I added onto the boat in the last year, but probably is the most important hands down, is the 12-gallon gas tank. I was just not comfortable, as I stated many times in those first few review videos, with that 6-gallon gas tank. I felt like I had a chance every time I was out of running out of fuel, especially if I went to one spot and it didn't work out and I wanted to change locations that was farther away. I felt like I was not secure enough to take that small gas tank and head, another 8 miles away from where I was at. With the 12-gallon tank, I have no concerns whatsoever. It does a great job of getting me all over the bay system, the intercoastal waterway. We've put 50, 55 miles on this boat just with this gas tank and was not even close to being out by the time we got back to the boat ramp. Didn't really change a lot right here on the cockpit or the center console area of the Mako. Everything is pretty much still how I bought the boat. I did add the fish finder. I'm still torn on the fish finder. I've had a couple people ask me why I have not reviewed the Humminbird Helix 5 fish finder, and to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure that that's the electronics I'm going to keep on this boat. As far as navigation, waypoints, things like that, I feel like it does really well. When I take this boat into freshwater, it will definitely mark fish. I honestly do not know that I've had this fish finder actually mark a fish in the bay ever since I've had it. So I don't know if that's a transducer issue or if it's a fish finder issue. I've actually had to send this back once already and get the GPS unit in it replaced because that just kind of disappeared on me. Also in this area, a lot of times you guys will see me shooting from this bar, and I use a couple different mounting systems for this for GoPros. I do have a ring mount that I keep on that bar all the time, but I also have a clamp mount with the flex head on it that I can put basically anywhere on this bar and shoot the front of the boat, the back of the boat, and it gives you, if you are looking to video, it gives you a lot of different angles of the boat that can be covered just from this area right here. I also added this on as cup holders. This is a really unique item. It just kind of clamps right onto these bars, but honestly, I don't know that I've ever put a drink or used this as a cup holder whatsoever. Most of the time, this is what holds my bait knives, my pliers, my fish grips, and things like that, but this is excellent for like loose items that you keep on your boat that you kind of don't want flopping all over the place while you're underway. Next big question is about the storage of the boat. And I know we've talked about this a couple times, but I think every time I've showed you guys this, I think I've had it cleaned out, and I don't think you really get a perspective of what you can put in here. So I'm actually gonna raise the deck lid up front and kind of show you guys what all I have in here right now. So I've got my kayak net, which I know I get made fun of religiously, but I'm telling you guys, the net works fine. It just has a short handle. We're gonna get a bigger net. Everybody on Branch channel, calm down, it's okay. I keep 6 life jackets in here. I still have room for tackle up there. Both of my battery boxes are in here, and as well as the guest battery charger that's under the life jackets is there. And I still have room up here for fire extinguishers. I think I've got some lubricants and things like that up here for different moving parts. But this is more than enough room for everything that you're gonna store on this boat. There's never been a time where I have been out on the water and I thought, man, I don't have enough place to put all my stuff. We keep dry bags on the boat with us. That way, if we have something that we don't want to get wet, we just throw it in a dry bag and put it back there. And all the camera equipment goes in a Pelican case that's waterproof as well. So I can sit that right behind the seat helm with no issues whatsoever. The functionality of driving this boat has been another question you guys have asked about. Power steering is not on this boat. I did not include it when I purchased it, but honestly, I don't miss it. Now, if you've owned a boat and you've had power steering on that boat, it might be weird for you to drive a boat without power steering, but because this is the first boat I've ever owned, I don't have any issue with not having power steering on it. I've not put it into a position where I felt like I couldn't get the boat turned around fast enough or hard enough because of the lack of power steering. So to me, that is not an issue, but I do want to let you know that it does not come standard on this boat. Apparently you can add it on. I found that out actually through your guys' comments after the fact that you could put power steering on it. But for me, I've never really missed it. Ah, the dreaded Baitwell question. Yes, I still get asked about the Baitwell regularly. No, the Baitwell does not work correctly still. Once you're underway, this thing will airlock. There have been so many things that I've tried to fix this. Ultimately, I think I'm just gonna have to take the boat back in, make them warranty it, and put a bigger pump on this, because that, I think, is the issue. I've had multiple people told me that they did that and it fixed their problem. I've tried a couple different options to take care of this issue, and it's just not happened. So that's another thing that I'm going to get addressed when I take it back in for the 100-hour service. I've already talked to Scott's Marine. They're aware of the issue, and they said that we would do whatever we needed to do to get it taken care of. For this next question, we're gonna come back to the center console, because I had what I thought at the time was a weird question. Somebody's like, how do you like to drive the boat? And you know, of course, my mind went crazy and I'm like, well, with the steering wheel, but that was just me being a smart aleck. And then it dawned on me what they were really talking about, because the one thing I will say about this boat is it is hard to drive sitting down. If you're sitting down, this crossbar is kind of like right in your way. And you would actually have to hunker down to like look through the windshield or raise up to look over the bar. So most of the time when I'm driving this boat, I do so standing up. But most of the guys that I see out here are doing that as well. So it's not really a deal breaker. And honestly, had it not even been pointed out, it's probably not something I would have ever even thought of, but definitely something for you guys to consider. So the Livewell in the back, contrary to what the front one does, works like a charm. I have never once had an issue with the pump working on the Livewell. Does not matter if I've been underway or just put it on the water, this thing works flawlessly every time. Which brings me to another question that you guys asked. Does this boat have a bilge pump? And the answer to that is yes, but it is a manual bilge pump. This is not an automatic bilge pump. So you're gonna have to flip the switch and pump water out of your boat if water gets in it. This is a very, very dry boat. Even when I'm out in pretty heavy chop on the bay and things like that, this boat does not take on a lot of water. The bilge pump on the Mako is super efficient, but honestly, I don't have to use it that often, which in my mind is a pretty good thing. I'm sure you guys saw the video, but this is one of the major issues that I've had with the boat in the first year, and that is the axle. I didn't want to put the boat in the water today because it's super windy and we really don't have time to fish, or I would have showed you guys this without the boat on the trailer. Super disappointed that the axle did not hold up better than it did. I was able to straighten it out on my own, but it is something that I'm still going to have to get replaced, probably sooner rather than later. I simply hit a very small pothole out on Gulf Beach Highway, and it bent the axle bad enough that this wheel was actually rubbing the inside of the fender well. And I was not going really fast, so I was super disappointed that the axle system on this wasn't a little bit better. And once I got to research it, I had found out that multiple people had kind of had issues with the axle on the Mako Pro Skiff 17. The plug holes on this boat have given me no issues whatsoever. A couple people asked the question if I was having a problem with getting water into my lower hull, and I have not. I know at some point along the line in the last few years, Mako was having an issue with that plug hole on the bottom where I actually put the brass fitting in. I guess it was not caulked during the manufacturing process and water was leaking in. So when people got back to the boat ramp, they were taking that lower plug out and it was leaking out like 5 gallons of water that they had taken on strictly from that hole, not over the sides of the boat, but because that was not sealed properly. I can tell you that on the 2020 model that I have had no issues with that whatsoever. In the on-water review video, I had someone ask me, since I don't keep my boat in a garage, what I use to cover it. Now, they do make a cover specifically designed for the Mako Pro Skiff 17. I want to say it runs about $400, $450, somewhere in that ballpark. What I bought was just a 20-foot by 12-foot tarp, and it works perfectly. It covers all the way from the motor all the way to the front of the boat, and I only have to put about 6 straps on it and it holds down, and I have no issues with it covering the whole boat. To answer the most asked question hands down throughout the course of this last year while you guys have watched these videos, would I buy this boat again today, a year later? The answer to that question is a resounding yes. 100% I would buy this boat again today. Now I will tell you guys, I did stop by Scott's Marine, checked out the 2021 model and compared it to the 2020 model. And to be honest with you, I really didn't see any major differences whatsoever between the two. I think for the most part, they're going to be the exact same boat. Now the 19-foot model, I do know that they made a couple of upgrades to it. It does have a wider beam on it and it does have a built-in gas tank. So if you're looking for that extra 2 foot of boat, that one did have a few upgrades on it from the previous model. Guys, I truly appreciate you tuning in. I hope I was able to answer all of your questions in this video. If not, leave a comment down below. I am more than happy to check those out. And if I don't know the answer, I will find out for you. We truly are happy with the Mako Pro Skiff 17. The 2020 model has met every single need that we've had, from fishing to family fun to just being out and cruising around on the water. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. It truly helps out our channel. And if you have not taken a moment to subscribe, we invite you to do that today. We can't wait to see you guys on our next Crossroads adventure. You guys take care. We'll see you soon.